Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Expat Chat Series 5. I had to restart it because the previous one, we were having some technical difficulties. So hopefully we will be able, this one works. Okay, I see the notification now. All right, great. So this session will be featuring Yusef. And Yusef is an American expat in Brazil, and he's also lived in 15 other countries worldwide. So I'm very excited to have him on. And just give us a few minutes while we get set up so he can join the live. All right, just pinning the comments on here. There we go. All right. Hi, Ashley. Hi, Cassie. We're just waiting for Yusef to join. Hi, Brandon. We'll give him a few more seconds. Hey, Dee Dee, thanks for joining again. Hopefully this time we can get connected. It's always awkward in the beginning before the other person joins. But actually, while we wait, I'll give a brief overview of why I started Expat Chats. Essentially, Expat Chats was started for anyone who's like an aspiring expat who wants to move overseas, but really not sure where to start. So I wanted to create a resource and a community for people to be able to talk to people who are actually there now, get updated information, and be able to bounce any questions off of those individuals as well, so that you're not starting from scratch or necessarily starting where you don't have any community at all. Because one of the most helpful things that I found living overseas, currently an expat living in London, was just having a community and people that you can reach out to, whether it be how to find a haircut or, you know, where to go for banking and setting up these other things that you need when you're trying to get settled. So it's really important, I think, for people to have a network whenever you're trying to move overseas, whether it's the people who live in the city that you want to live in or other expats, because most of the expat communities are pretty open. And so like they may not live in your current country, but they'll be willing to link you to someone who does live in your country that you desire to move to. So up next for me will be Brazil. I mean, not Brazil. I'm talking about Brazil today. Up next for me will be Portugal, which I'll be heading to next month. So I'm going there as a tourist first, just to check it out and actually make sure that I'm actually going to, or I'd be open to living there long term. So pretty exciting. I don't know Portuguese, so this should be fun. All right, let me just check with Yusef again and see if he's still having trouble getting in. Let's see. And if you all have any questions, you can just drop them in the questions box. Because normally if you put them in the comments, we're not able to see them all the time. And is there anyone on the call who's interested in a particular country? Because I want to start aligning the expat chats with countries people are actually interested in. Because right now I've been kind of doing a little bit randomly through discussions in the private groups that I'm in, and also Facebook expat groups and traveler groups as well. Okay, I can see Yusef is on. So let me try to tag you in. All right, Yusef, it should be coming through now.
Hey.
Hello, hello, hello. You're a little crooked.
Wait, like
There we go.
this?
Perfect. Thank you
Hold on.
for joining.
Whoa. Wait, sorry.
No,
You know
no
what?
worries.
I'm trying to figure out how to get this because my phone sits. I have I have something to hang my phone in, but
Yeah.
it doesn't hang it vertically. It hangs it horizontally, which is weird.
Yeah, I have two different settings on mine. I have like a little ring light, and then, yeah. You may have to hold your phone. We'll try to, maybe we can keep it not to the full hour. Are you okay?
Okay, hold on a second. No, keep going. Let me. You
Okay.
know what? As long as you don't mind talking to me while I get this thing where there is a will, there is a way.
Okay.
We're gonna get the job done.
All right,
But if I
awesome.
turn.
So I was just giving everyone a brief overview about why I started Expat Chats, to create a sense of community for aspiring expats, and also for current expats to connect with each other as well. because there's power in community and just sharing information and resources. With you
Right.
having been to over 15 countries or lived over 15 countries, I think it's really great to have you on because not only have you been doing this for a long time, but you have a breadth of knowledge. And if you guys look at the original flyer for this, I listed Yusef's YouTube channel where he shares a lot of really insightful information about like why he moved abroad and raised some really good points about just the benefits of not just living abroad, but the benefits of living abroad as an American, some things that we may take for granted. So whenever you're ready, we can get right started with your intro.
Okay, hold on. Do you have some kind of intro music to play?
Not right now. We're gonna have to do a improv.
All right, so got my lamp going here.
Are
Can you see me okay? Because what I did, I just bent my my little poster there. I don't think this is ever going to be not crooked. That's all right. We got the party started.
All right, that's cool. That's good for me. Yeah, it's like not 100% clear, but it's not blurry. Like we can still see your face. So I think we're all set.
Hold on, let me move the table forward then.
Okay. All right, I think we're good.
Is that better?
Yep. All right, so if you want to give people, of course, I watched your blogs, and thank you for coming on your blogs. Thank you for coming on so quickly because but the way that I connected with you was through one of our travel groups, and you mentioned that you lived overseas and had lived in 15 other countries, and I'm like, oh, he'd be great for expat chats, and so I reached out, and literally within like less than 48 hours, you're on live, so I appreciate you for being helpful and just willing to offer your time. So just share with everyone like where you're from and kind of how your expat journey started and some background so to kind of get an idea of how long you've been doing this and how you've been making a living because you're a jack of all trades doing this overseas because a lot of people want to do it.
I'm not a jack of all trades. I actually do very few things, but I do them quite lucratively.
Okay, well, share your insight.
Well, my name is YusefWateef. You can see it, well, clearly you can see it on the thing. My name is YusefWateef. I was born in Niagara Falls, New York. Right now I live in São Paulo, Brazil, where I'm a permanent resident legally. I've lived in, like she said, over 15 countries. Let me think. I've been living outside the United States for more than half my adult life. Okay. And that's something that really does your head in when you think about it and when you really get your head around the concept of I'm about to have a second passport. Mm-hmm. I've lived in a bunch of countries. Brazil became a great place to be because Brazil has a lot of opportunities. Mm-hmm. São Paulo, Brazil, for those who don't know, São Paulo, Brazil is the education and finance capital of Brazil. Brasilia is the capital. Rio de Janeiro is a different atmosphere. Mm-hmm. It's a place that's not quite for me. Then you have Salvador, which is a huge destination, particularly for a lot of Black Americans who go there and Black people in general. Salvador was one of the main Brazilian ports of slavery. Mm. And there's still Afro-Brazilian presence that's integral to the place. Yeah. Where do we go? So here's what I'm doing. I'm looking at a couple things. I'm gonna look at you here. I'm gonna look at. Oh no, I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't look at my computer and you because are we?
I don't know if you'll get an echo. Maybe.
Well, that's not a good.
Yeah. But what really? That's not a good idea. What motivated you to leave in the first place? I mean, so many people want to, but they don't know where to start. So I think it's insightful to kind of give people some insight into why you even left in the first place and why you stayed, because some people go back as well. Like I did. I went back to the US for a while. Mm-hmm.
Let me think, how do I start this? When I was a child, I had parents that created a monster. Mm-hmm. And this is something I didn't know until I was, I think, done with my first college degree. Mm-hmm. My mother told me that she made sure I could read 3 grade levels ahead my entire life. Mm-hmm. My father was giving me books that were well above my capacity to read. I mean, I'm reading Plato's Republic, Soul on Ice by Eldridge Cleaver, mm-hmm. things like that, junior high school. Mm-hmm. It set me up to win. Mm-hmm. So my entire life, I grew up reading, just reading. Mm-hmm. And I understood that the world was out there. Yeah. long before you and I set foot in another country, you had people writing about the experience of Black Americans. I remember reading about as early as end of World War One,
Mm-hmm.
when Black Americans came home
Mm-hmm.
after serving their country faithfully,
Mm-hmm.
being called boy, nigger, and coon, and realizing if
Mm-hmm.
I go back abroad, I can just be a guy, not a
Mm-hmm.
special guy. I mean, even Baldwin talked about that, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can just be a person.
Yeah.
So I came to the realization that there are two groups of people who owe America absolutely fuck all.
Mm-hmm.
That's Native Americans. I have quite a few friends. I finished a degree at New Mexico State University. I have quite a few friends
Okay.
that are Native American, Indian, First Peoples,
Mm-hmm.
and Black Americans.
Mm-hmm.
Owe America nothing. If anything, we should be exempt from all taxes and all military duty. So when you leave the United States, it's not as if you're leaving a country that you're abandoning.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as if America is suddenly turning on you. They were never on your team.
Mm-hmm.
When you free yourself that mental, that
The attachment
that
to the
baggage.
country.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You realize that, okay, first you're educated, second you're an American. I can take my passport and go anywhere in the world. I semi-retired when I was 37 from a career as a financial professional.
Mm-hmm.
I dealt with cash-bearing life insurance, helping people put money away tax-free.
Mm-hmm.
I focused heavily on mutual funds.
Mm-hmm.
Those things helped me learn how money worked. And then I have a career now. I have a couple of businesses here. One of them is I do editing, copy editing, proofreading
Mm-hmm.
for businesses, individuals, books. People hire me to write university and professional level resume writing.
Okay.
That was one of the first side jobs I had in college.
Okay.
I've done public speaking since I was a child.
Okay.
Then I got into persuasive writing,
Mm-hmm.
and people pay me largely for editing. Editing is where I make a good chunk of money. I have that. I also have a situation where I coach executive level English, meaning the people that come to my company for coaching in English already speak English from other countries. They need someone who can help them prepare for high level events, as in defending a thesis, doing TED Talks.
Okay.
I've always told people that getting out of the United States, if you have to do it one way to get out is to do something like that. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not telling everyone to jump in where I am, and if I can help anybody, please, call me. I actually put, let's see.
Yeah, and
I put my YouTube thing there.
Yeah,
when I pin that on the thing.
Yeah, when I do the replay, it'll have your IG and your YouTube listed, so anyone can feel free if they miss any parts of this. Definitely check out your YouTube channel because there's a wealth of knowledge on there as well.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I have that. Of course, I believe in investments, mm-hmm. mutual funds, things like that. And I'm one of those people that found out early because I had access to the financial business that I was successful in. Saving a little bit consistently gives you so many different kind of freedoms.
Yes.
One freedom is I've never had to do anything I don't want to do for money. Mm-hmm. Another freedom is I have bankrolled myself into being able to say, if I have a business idea, I can try it. Mm-hmm. I'm not worried about eating tomorrow or next month or 6 months from now. So it allows me the time to do things. For example, I'm heavy into Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. I've been in Bitcoin for about 8 years. Mm-hmm. I'm also learning Forex trading. I don't have to worry about, I need money now. I don't plan on spending any real money. I'm doing what investors, we call it paper trading, mm-hmm. meaning you just keep track of your buying and selling in a virtual medium until you can show consistent results. Then you can use real money. That's what I do.
But yeah,
with that as well.
And it's insightful to understand the different streams of income that you have that allow you to be location independent, because one of the biggest things that hold people back from moving overseas or moving even domestically, they don't think they can afford it. And long and steady really does win the race, because even with me taking my gap year, it involved years of saving. This wasn't an overnight thing. Me going overseas for expat experience involved planning for years. So I want to stress that point as well as we're having these discussions. These discussions aren't to get you to jump ship tomorrow. These discussions are to lay the groundwork and the foundation so that you can build the community, the financial, independence that you need and other things so that you can make that jump and do it like safely. We don't want people going overseas and you can't afford to be there. You have to come right back. So yeah, it's important to plan. It's important to have the finances set as well. And then to have a sense of community and network, so you're not rebuilding the wheel and you can't just leverage resources from other people who are already there. even when it comes to getting settled. One of the things I want to touch on, because I watched one of your blogs and it was just super insightful, because I watch a ton of vlogs about living overseas and traveling. And some of the things that you pointed out in your blog that I don't think a lot of people recognize, and this is from the perspective of us as Americans living overseas. You know, you talked about the value of the American education overseas and globally. You talked about us being business minded, Americans being business minded, and how that works to our advantage. We can leverage that overseas when we're trying to get employment. You talked about the cost of living, and you talked about the Black experience in, you know, we get treated better sometimes overseas than we do in the US. And then the last part was about the healthcare and how other countries have healthcare set up not as a revenue system, but to actually take care of people. So if you can kind of, I know I just talked about a whole bunch of things, but and I want people to encourage them to go look at your blog afterwards. But for now, for everyone's on the call, if you could just share some of that insight as well, because I think it'll be great for people to understand how to leverage being American when you're trying to make it work overseas.
Okay, well, let's do this. I'm gonna you asked for about 4 different things there.
Yeah.
So here's what we're gonna do, Sister Shar. While people are commenting, I want you to write down. You got to be quick. The things that they say in the comment section, because I want to be able to address everything someone comments on.
Okay. Yeah, and use the question box as well, you guys, because I can see those more clearly than the comments. Yeah.
The question box. What's that?
There's a question box next to the comment box. It's a little question mark. If they put questions in there, then I can see them. Yep. I don't know if you have the feature on your laptop. It may be on your phone. Yeah.
See, I'm more of a YouTube kingpin. I'm still, you know, Instagram. I'm still.
Yeah. No, it's gonna be a while to get used to.
I like long form. I can put up charts and graphs and show people things. We got to get you. You know, we got to transfer. I'm not saying stop here. You need to transfer your stuff over to YouTube where you can get a bigger interaction as well. Yeah. So let's go. You said the concept of being Black overseas. Yeah. There is the concept of being Black in America and the concept of being a Black American living overseas. Yeah. You are first seen as American, and then you're often seen as what can you produce, which everyone wants to be seen that way. Mm-hmm. We want to be seen as what can we produce. Now, I'm not telling you what people are going to walk up to you and hand you a bag of candy because you're an American. But what you do get is a situation where at the very least you can walk out of your door and they'll say, all right, what can you do? Mm-hmm. Whereas in America, I'll give you an example with Brazil. I like Brazil because people often say to me, Wateef, don't they have a lot of racism in Brazil? And I say, well, don't they have a lot of racism in America? Because here's the trick. If you grew up and succeeded as a Black American, there's no place else in the world that's going to be more difficult. It's not going to happen. There's no place where you're going to find more. Whoa, it's not possible. It's not possible. Mm-hmm. So here I go with it. In America, you could be murdered by any white American, civilian or law enforcement, and your death will not matter. You could be the target of racial violence, let's say, you know, Tamir Rice, or, you know, any of the dozens of Black people that are being killed. Mm-hmm. Or in America, now here's where it gets weird. In the United States, you could take your friends to the movies and get shot in the front row by a madman who just decided to kill everyone. Mm-hmm. Are there bad guys in every country? Absolutely. Are there gangsters in Brazil? Yes. But you find traveling the world, not even the worst, lowest, most despicable group of people would even abide by the murder of children, mm-hmm. murders in schools. There's no gang territory. Here's the thing. I live in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and people look up the stats and they go, whoa, Sao Paulo, Brazil has murder. And I'm like, yeah, so does New York, LA, or Chicago. The difference is this. Mm-hmm. I can, and this is where classism comes in. Yeah. I don't live in places where bad shit happens. Mm-hmm. People will say, why don't you go see the real Brazil? I do go see the real Brazil. I go to Ibirapuera Park where they have 3 or 4 giant studios for concerts. They have some of the greatest exhibits, the factories in the world, great museums, all in one place. I go downtown, listen to music, sitting on the street with my friends. And they say, well, why don't you go to the favelas? And I said, I didn't grow up in poverty in America. Why would I do poverty porn someplace else? Mm-hmm. And so what you find is that in America, because of redlining and things like that, you know, it exists everywhere, but you can economy yourself out of being in places where the police look at you weird. Mm-hmm. I walk down the street, the police look at me the same way they look at everybody else. Mm-hmm. I don't live in an area, and I'm going to be very clear about this. I don't live where poor people live, so I'm not treated that way. Mm-hmm. And people can get mad. Feel free to at me in the comments, catch me on YouTube. My forefathers never wanted me to be forced to have a picnic under the same tree they were lynched under. They died so I could have the choice to go to a better place no matter where it is. Before I lived here, I was in Shanghai, China for a couple of years.
What was your experience like in China, though? Because I don't know if the sentiment has changed recently. Like, when were you there?
What year is this?
2020.
So I was there in 2015, 14.
Okay.
So it was very different China.
Yeah.
China, and I'm going to say something difficult. If you're not Chinese, China is great because we have freedoms that Chinese people don't. I was there for business. I had a great time. Is it a place I'd want to stay? No.
But you raised a very valid point, and I kind of give this caveat on most of my talks. When you are living as an expat, more than likely you will live better than the locals. Like, that's just the reality. It's a harsh reality, but I think it's important to caveat our experience with that, because we're talking from the perspective of expats, and there's a certain level of class that is assumed when you're an expat. And although it's unfair, it's a reality. And I think that's why we tend to be somewhat treated better, because people assume a certain level of class if you can afford to be overseas. It's not always the case, but I've seen that more than, happen more frequently than not.
Here's the problem. Ready? I'm not here to tell. There are so many ways to go with this. One, not all expats are created equal.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Here's the thing about what you learn about black expats. There was a time when expats were usually the image of lesser accomplished white people who didn't have a lot of options in life. Whereas when you meet a black expat, they're probably overqualified, educated, and coming from a position of, I'm going to go online, find a place overseas, and I'm going to go there and be loved. You know what? For example, when I'm in China, Japan, Thailand, any places in the world, I always get the same comment by some of my white friends. They'll say, wow, I heard you got a contract with that company. I heard that they hired your company to do the job for them. And I said, yeah, I did. I got introduced to the president and the vice president and blah, blah, blah. And they say, well, I don't mean to be racist, but I heard they don't like black people over here. And what I look at them and say, you're right, but they don't like white people either. So what does that tell me? Here's what happens when they lose the white privilege in another country, and then they come to a place where everybody's judging on how hard they work. Is it a fair statement that all successful black people have had to work minimum twice as hard to get everything they've had? Now, take that black person out of America where they're never going to get anything for it, and drop them in a country where somebody says, look, we don't like foreigners unless you can make me some money. Can you make me some money? And you wonder why they love black people all over the world. That's another thing. For the record, anybody who hasn't lived abroad, I want to tell you a secret. They love you. Don't listen to I'm going to clap this one out. Don't listen to the same television networks that say lies about you and believe they're going to tell you the truth about how you'll be treated in another country. When you leave America as a black American, no one looks at you as the face of the oppressor. No one says somebody like you dropped a bomb on my country. They go, wow, you guys suffered through a lot. We can be friends. We can bond. Can you do some hard work? Here, I'll pay you for it. Now with healthcare, here's one reason that so many expats go abroad and do very well. I worked with insurance for quite a while. Part of that was health insurance, life insurance. We'll have to have a different conversation. Anyone here who doesn't understand life insurance needs to have life insurance immediately, especially while you're young and spry. It's one of those secrets to financial success that most black people were never taught this stuff. The United States is one of a few countries that live the barbaric belief that people should pay for medicine. Now, they'll tell you, oh, well, America, it's got all the best, everything in the world. Yeah, but if you're not a billionaire, you'll never get to see it. You'll go to a hospital. Who's that guy that got a couple of $1 million charged to him for a COVID test?
Yeah, I saw it. I didn't even read the article because the headline just irritated me.
Hey. When you live in other countries and you're in a situation where, I'll give you an example, right? I train in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I lift weights. That's what I spend most of my time doing. One day I was in the office, and the secretary said, "What? Can you put this water jar on the machine?" And we have those 5-gallon water jugs you have to pick up and turn upside down. Now, I'm not going to ask her to pick it up, But what did my meathead ass do? Like an idiot, right? I picked it up with one hand, pulled it over, turned it upside down. The next day I had a pain right here. I was like, I'm healthy, but I think I'm having a heart attack. So I went to the doctor.
Yeah.
And the doctor, she looks at me, she takes my measurements, and I went down to one of the hospitals downtown, and I don't have it here. When you move to Brazil, no matter how rich or poor you are, you can get on the government healthcare plan. Okay. The only time I would use the government healthcare plan, for the record, is in an emergency. Okay. Because I pay for my own healthcare because I think it's unfair of me to siphon off that system if I can afford it. Yeah. And for $70, I can get like 4 or 5 of the best, exams and checkups in the world for like $70 US. Because again, cheap and it's good. But most Americans think that hospital procedures cost thousands of dollars when they don't. And by the way, their doctors still make a profit. Okay. It's hard to explain to people that when you go overseas and you don't have to worry about, I got to stay at this job because I got health care for me and my mom and my kids. I don't have any kids, but if I did, that you can't leave that job now, even if you could make more money elsewhere. Yeah. Whereas when you travel and you're like, wait a minute, all I have to do is make enough money to eat. If I do fail, let's say one of my investments fails, one of my cryptocurrency investments fails big time, I just fall on my face. And I've got nothing but chicken for 3 months until I make my money back. At the very least, I don't have to worry about if I get sick, I have no money to pay for a doctor. Yeah, because you have
health insurance, yeah.
People don't understand. And if I want 5-star health insurance, I can beef up my plans for not a lot of money. Little things like that make a lot of difference. So finish the story about when I went to the doctor. I said, I think I'm having a heart attack. And she was like, you look so healthy. And I'm looking at your chart and your blood pressure, everything is fine. And she's like, it's right here. And I said, yeah. And the doctor, she looked at me and she put her chart down and she took her finger and poked me real hard in the chest. And I went, ah! And I started crying. And she said, heart attacks don't hurt on the outside. And she said, what did you do to your arm? I said, no, I'm very careful and methodical with my weightlifting. She said, think, what else did you lift? And it occurred to me, I lifted something with this hand, had an adverse effect over here, trying to be a knucklehead. But the ability that I have to simply go to the doctor, and the cost never crossed my mind. It just didn't.
Yeah.
People talk about COVID right now. Let me tell you something. Places like Brazil will recover faster than America. You know why? Because before the COVID even hit, if you felt sick, you could go to the doctor and find out what it was. Yeah. Whereas in America, think about how many people, especially people who look just like you and me, had to worry about, well, I know the kids are coughing, but I don't know if I can afford that $250 copay just to have a doctor say take some Robitussin.
It's actually it's criminal. And I remember when COVID first started and, became awareness started spreading globally, reading a story about an older woman, really popular or whatever. Anyway, she had all this influence and she didn't go to the doctor because she was too afraid of the cost of the visit and ended up passing away from COVID. But stories like that are heartbreaking because, this is like a country that's developed. We're not an undeveloped nation. So there is actually no excuse for your healthcare to be tied to your employment or for healthcare to be a revenue-based system. So, bless you.
Woo! Excuse me.
You touched on something else really important in your other talk where you talk about Americans being business-minded and how you're able to leverage that because there's a certain perception that people have, and when they want to get quality work done, they're excited to work with Americans. And I have experienced that as well in consulting over here in London. So I can definitely echo your sentiments. For consulting.
What I do with my consulting and the things that I do, part of my business plan is I do expat relocation services. So when people want to move to Brazil, there's a very specific set of visas and stamps and all those things you're going to need. They call me because I know the system. I have a permanent residency here, and my business, that's what we do. I hire Brazilian people. That's what we do for people, and they hire us to do these things. Well, here's what gets people. Americans come from a place that is so cutthroat. It is such a shark-infested water. We've never known what it's like to live in a world that was nice to us or had the kind of ability to create a situation where there are certain things you don't have to worry about. In America, there is no middle class. A lot of people don't know that. And this is a big thing I have conversations about. Most people don't know America doesn't have a middle class. You're either making it by a big margin or you don't. Most people who think they're middle class are actually just living on credit, which I've had too many of my clients come by and get mad and when I was still doing my investment work, when I told them we were cutting up all their credit cards and people wanting to fight me.
Mm-hmm.
If you have an American business mindset, if you have an American level of education, you can do so many things.
Mm-hmm.
Your level of expectation for yourself comes from a place of, if I don't make this money, somebody else is going to take it from me.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, my clients pay me my deposit for my services ahead of time and then rolling monthly.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll say, why am I paying you 6% ahead of time? Well, first, I was given to you by a referral, so you know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to be there. I've had so many of my top dollar clients who pay me quite a bit of money to do work for them. Oh, let's have our first meeting. You know what we're going to do? There's a coffee shop next to your office. We're going to meet there at 7:30. From 7:30 to 8, we're just going to have coffee. Then we're going to go to your office. I'm going to take my briefcase. You bring yours. I'm going to show you this. And you've got me booked from 8 until 10.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll show up at like 30. And I'll say, you understand you've already paid me for this time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't stay at 30 because I have another client that's going to meet me downtown.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, it's okay. And I just add up sometimes all the hours of business that people pay me for that they didn't do, because that concept of small things like American punctuality.
Yes, it's not
you
global.
Understand as an American. Woo.
It is not a global expectation, and I realized that working overseas, and I'm like, wow, this idea, and mind you, I'm always running late, but, you know, I was like, wow, I don't have to stress when I work in certain environments because they really are not punctual in certain spaces. It's just not a cultural thing. They're more lax, and, I mean, yeah.
So people hired me to come into their office to talk to their staff that wanted to do permanent relocation to Brazil
Mm-hmm.
about some of the things they have to do and some of the paperwork. And it was supposed to be 4 people.
Mm-hmm.
Did you just burp?
No, I was clearing my throat.
Mm-hmm. That sounded like a lion clearing his throat. In any case, you burped, didn't you? Just admit it. Just say it. Say it. Just say it. You'll feel better. Just say I burped.
No, I did not burp. Keep going.
You did burp. Just say it. Just say it.
You're being
You'll
weird
feel
now.
better.
Stop being awkward. Go. I'm not.
I'm not being awkward. Ahead. You're the one in the We all burp. For the people watching, girls burp too. In any case, I remember getting into it with the guy who hired me because I said, okay, we start at 9 a.m. We're going to go from 9 to 10:30. In that 90 minutes, we're going to cover a lot of material. Somebody came in at like 9:45, and I was like, no, you can't come in because we're at a place where I can't stop to go back over 45 minutes worth of material.
Mm-hmm.
He goes and talks to the boss. The boss was like, oh.
Mm-hmm.
So the boss has to decide what to do. He stops the meeting. He says, can I just talk to you for 5 minutes? And he brings me outside like, look, I know, blah, blah, blah. And I said, listen, this is your company, but I don't want to hear from that guy. And here's the thing. If he wants personal attention, now he's got to hire me himself because if everybody else was on time, why wasn't he? Apparently, people don't think that's a real thing but you know what? None of them have ever been late for anything for me again.
Yeah.
But again, I've got enough business under my belt.
No, I was going to say, yes, it's a cultural difference that you just have to learn to deal with when you start working overseas. But
that's the thing. It's like when you get to that point where you can command your own business. You know what? I forgot something. I was rude. I was going to say, I love your tabanchi. How do I say tabanchi? Your hair wrap. In Portuguese. Yeah. You know what? If you come down here to hang out, I'm going to take you downtown to these places where they just have tables of so many different kind of prints and colors where women come and get their hair wraps.
Yeah.
It is, the hair wrap game in Brazil is like,
I'm sure it's
astounding.
Yeah, because they have a huge influence over there, African influence as well. Like the community you mentioned, that's a little further away in another city. So I've only been to Rio, but we'll have to come to Brazil, and check out some other places. So I just want to do a time check real quick because they do cut us off automatically at a certain time. And I some things that I really want to cover because I get questions in advance or questions after my other expat chats. One of the biggest ones is cost of living. So we covered it briefly, but we talked about the healthcare part, but can you give people a general sense like the range of, okay, this 1-bedroom apartment in New York, I could, for that value, I could get this here where you're at now in Sao Paulo?
Okay, I'm going to do 2 things. One, I'm going to put something in the chat that's a direct link to something called Sao Paulo, Brazil cost of living. Okay. And then I'm going to go over a couple of things Let's see here. Come on.
And you know
Come
what I
on.
can also do? Whenever I repost a replay, I can put the links as well, so people, because it'll after we do the replay, these comments won't show, but I'll add it in the comment section of the replay post. Yeah, so people can still see it.
Cool.
All right, awesome.
Cool. So if we take Sao Paulo, Brazil, and give me another city you want me to compare it to.
Well, New York is always an extreme. Maybe do like a Chicago. Chicago, I think, is a.
Well, just name your city. What city were you from?
Originally from Detroit, but I've lived in Atlanta for quite some time before coming here.
Okay, so we'll put Atlanta. There is a website that I want everybody to look at called Numbeo. I'll put that in there too, because I believe in giving people not just the answers, but I want you to all have the tools to get the information as well. So I'm going to give you this, and then we're going to read a few things. Their cost of living for Atlanta, Georgia, and Sao Paulo, Brazil. Okay, I'm going to read you a few things off the chart comparison.
Okay.
And Numbeo is a very accurate website, by the way. Okay.
Yeah, I need that link
also. I put it there for you. So let's just go skip all the way down to the big ones. Let's talk about rent per month. I have a 1-bedroom apartment. I think it's 40 square meters. 1-bedroom apartment, 15 minutes away from the center of the city. And I pay 1,400 Brazilian real per month.
What does that equate to in US dollars?
Okay, that means apartment 1,270 US dollars a month.
Yeah, that's insane. And the more I talk to people through these chats and get these numbers, it's continuously blowing my mind.
Yeah, well, you can. I mean, I will actually, for anybody who wants to come on my channel, I'll put up a video of an apartment tour. It's just a simple bachelor pad. You walk in, it's got a little bathroom. It's got a little kitchen with a sink, a 4-burner stove, and some cabinet space, enough for 1 or 2 people. I've got a little love seat sofa that fits 2 people. I could put a 3-person one, or a refrigerator. It's got a little divider wall on the next side. It's got a queen size bed and a window. It's not small by any means, but it's enough for someone. And I always say, I don't want a pad that I live in Brazil, because I'm never home. I'm always out doing things. Yeah. Right? I've got some books up here. I've got my jiu-jitsu stuff there. Yep. But that's, in Atlanta, Georgia, I'm looking at price comparison, right? That same bedroom apartment costs 1,100 per month outside the city center.
Yeah, that even sounds kind of low, because Atlanta's getting expensive now as well. Yeah.
Now, let's do this. Let's just say that you are coming down and you want to look at price of food. Let's take somebody like me. I eat a lot of chicken. I eat a lot of beef. I lift a lot of weights. So 2 pounds, 1 kilogram of chicken breast fillets is $2.70. That's $2.70. 2 pounds of beef is $6. Pounds of beef, 2 pounds of beef is $6. We won't even look up the cost of something like the rice, the potatoes, the beans. Yeah. And also, if you look on my IG page, one of the first things I posted is I can go down to the market on Sunday. They close off about 2 city streets. You walk through the market, on one side, it's all the fresh fruit. On the other side, it's all the fresh vegetables. On either end, you've got people selling everything from meat to a guy who has fresh chopped garlic in buckets. And I don't even calculate the cost. I actually bought some of those reusable giant laundry bags, and you can eat. I mean, and listen, I am a 230-pound weightlifter. I eat so much food. It's ridiculous. But here, it's like the food cost doesn't even when I go out, the cost of an Uber and going to an upscale, I'll give you the price of restaurants. Let's say you come out and I'm going to take you to just a mid-range restaurant. We're going to get a meal with a salad, and maybe we'll split a piece of pie afterwards. That's about $25, $30.
Yeah, you would get half a meal and half a drink like that in the U.S., so...
And if we went to let me see. Now, there is one lie. They talk about a cappuccino being $1.25. No, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
We can go to some of the best little cafes on the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Get you get one of those little cafe con leche, which I don't drink coffee. I'm a tea person in my house.
Yes,
I only have
tea.
People are like, why don't you drink coffee?
No,
you drink one or two of these little shots of coffee. They had these little, and why did they give us such little glasses? I get my little cafe con leche. I put my little sugar free in it and stir it up, and it will straighten out my mustache. I mean, woo!
Yeah, stuff is kind of watered down where we're at, but I mean, overseas, when you start to eat real and true organic food, even I remember my first time, like the cheese, the chocolate, it's a couple of things in the UK. I'm like, oh, this is what real food tastes like. And like my food here spoils. And I remember, I'm like, man, I gotta go grocery shopping again. I just went grocery shopping because I'm so used to my food in the US. It can stay in my fridge looking healthy for 2 or 3 weeks. And I come to London and like within 4 days, my food is rotted. And I'm like, what's going on? But it's because it's real. And so that's another thing that I want to stress is the food is more organic and overseas, not everywhere, of course, but I found the food here to be more organic. And I've also heard that sentiment from other people who live overseas.
Let me say 2 quick things. I want to say shout out to my buddy Stretch the Tall Man and to the Melanated Multilinguals where we go and talk a bunch of different languages. So look up Stretch the Tall Man and look up Melanated Multilinguals. I also run a group called Black Expats in Brazil. If anybody is in Brazil or coming to Brazil, you know, well, if you're coming, it's for people who have lived in Brazil or who have lived in Brazil, but you can still connect with me through there. If anybody wants information on Brazil, I've got information for you. I'll put that in the comments as well. We can put all that good stuff. Keep going with your questions. I know you got a time limit.
Yeah. So I want to cover 2 more things, because what is a common myth about either living abroad or living in Brazil or Sao Paulo that you want to dispel that people have because you think it may discourage people, but you're like, this is the reality of my experience? Because there's a lot of myths out there where people are discouraged because they believe, you know, the myths that they see, and really like the reality is quite different.
Okay, watch this. You'll be okay. You can just learn the language when you get there.
Wait, are you saying that that's true? Are you saying that that's a myth?
Let me tell you something. Right now, we have things that anyone can learn. I can't think of a language, including Chinese. I don't speak Chinese. I have plenty of friends who do. You can get a quality method, like, I'll give you an example, Pimsleur. Have you heard of Pimsleur?
No, never heard of it.
Okay. Pimsleur is a language learning method. There are several out there that you can learn a foreign language in about 3 months if you dedicate every day to doing it for about an hour. Most people think that when I get there, you know, somebody everywhere speaks English, or I'll figure it out. Don't do that to yourself, because here's what ends up happening. Everybody wants to believe that, oh, I went to this country and I had a terrible time and it was awful, and somebody, you know, they charged me double, and I ordered steak, but instead they gave me fish and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, well, wait a minute. Do you speak their language?
No.
Well, I pointed. Really? So you're mad at somebody else in their home country for not understanding exactly what you meant. And there are good people everywhere, but there are bad people everywhere. When you walk around and they realize you're using, you know, hand pointing like a 5-year-old to communicate an idea, of course they're going to charge you double. That would happen anywhere. It's not just Brazil, or it's not just London. People come to America and get robbed every day like that.
Absolutely.
You know? Here's another big one. This is a big one. It comes down to dating. I don't care if it's Brazil, China, whatever. The girls over there or the guys over there are different. No, they're not. Listen, if you are a woman that's constantly making bad decisions on who you open your heart and your legs for, it's not going to get better when you get, it's not like the dudes in Brazil or London are these great guys and suddenly you're not just going to get slammed out and turned onto the concrete. If you're a man who can't seem to find a woman that wants to be loyal and obedient to him, and you can't do it in America, when you come to Brazil, you're just going to go home crying every night. It's not, the answer isn't someplace else. You have to get better and become a person that's worth it. But no, I'm gonna find there's gonna be this awesome guy and he's in Italy somewhere and he's gonna blah blah blah. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. Or my favorite is, hey, what? I heard the women in Brazil are different. Well, what did you hear? I mean, they have a different accent, but They're still women. If you're not a man out there lifting the weights, reading the books, saving money to actually be able to take her out to a place where they don't say, would you like fries with that sometimes? If you don't even have a clean apartment to take her back to in America, you're certainly not going to do it overseas. Not because you can't afford it, but it's not who you are.
Yeah.
Now they're,
No, very valid point. The part about dating, people are frequently, I get more inbox about dating than I do visas, which is interesting to me because people are curious about like how easy is it to date overseas and meet people. And I kind of think you just need to be open-minded, but I don't see it as a challenge per se. Like I actually find it easier to date overseas than I do in the US. What's been your experience?
Well, I've never been a woman, so I can't tell you you're right or wrong. Matter of fact, I just posted something. You can put the link in it. It was called Easy Brazilian Women. I posted that, and you can put that in the comments as well. Here's the thing about dating. You can find someone from a different culture, and maybe you like the way that Brazilian men date women more than you like the way that men from England date women. Maybe you like the way that a Brazilian woman caters to her man instead of the way a woman from China caters to her man. If you're not one of the people who's worth it, it's not going to get better. Dating isn't hard. Finding a good woman on the street, talking to her and convincing her to go out with you, not hard. Getting her to go on that second date, if you didn't have your shit together the first time, you're not dating. You just found a girl you talked to in one date. Especially now, let me tell you something about Brazil. One of my favorite things about Brazil is it keeps you sharp. Because out here in America, I'll be 43 in July, right? I'm still hitting the gym, eating right, lifting weights. My competition in America, well, I would have none. There are no 42-year-old men out there trying to get it in like I am. Here, I go to the gym. There are guys with pure white hair doing straight up raw-handed chin-ups. And I'm like, woo! So when they come to certain places where the women are used to being approached by a man who's got some money in his pocket and some muscles on his arm, you come from America thinking your American passport is just going to do the job for you. You can get women. They're just not going to be the kind of women you want to introduce your folks to. Not going to be the kind of girl you want to take around your buddies because they're going to look at her and go, ooh. Because you get a lot of, women who come out, men and women, but you get a lot of women who come out and they'll go to like Bahia. Salvador Bahia is notorious. The men up there are just notorious for just women just, boom, falling in love. These guys have they got a little certain something on them. I know more than one woman that went up there and be like, I love it. Salvador Bahia. But here's the thing. When they do find these men, they're like, okay, well, maybe I can treat him differently than the men I treated in the United States, but you won't. If you weren't treating men in a way that made them want to protect and provide for you ahead of time, it's not going to happen in another country. It's just not. And they say, oh, dating is easier overseas. Look, getting the first date is not hard anywhere. But it goes back to that other thing, right? Let's say you do decide, you know what, Watt? I'm going to go find me a man from Bahia, Brazil. He's going to be a capoeirista, guy who plays music on the beach at night. He's going to have this great body and these killer eyes. Goes back to, I tell guys all the time, okay, you want a woman from China or Brazil. Let's say Brazil. You want a Brazilian woman. Yeah. You like the way Brazilian women run their home. You see the way Brazilian women treat their men. Right. Okay. What can you do for her? She can do a whole lot for you. You got this beautiful woman on your arm. What can you do for her? You got an American passport. Do you have a constant stream of income? Well, I want a woman that's going to take care of me in my house. Okay, can you take care of all the bills for her? And I'm also, as you grow older in life, you realize that a lot of the conservative, socially incorrect standards that we often eschew when we're young, they matter. Because I get a lot of questions about dating. I get a lot of men who don't seem to get it through their heads. If you don't have something to offer a woman, why is she with you? You want this beautiful young woman to be with you. You want 2 or 3. Great. I've been in poly relationships too. What do you offer these women? Can you even speak the language? You want a Brazilian woman, but you can't even walk down the street and see a dress on the rack in the mall and say, hey, what's it go stay? You like that dress? Come on, I'll buy you that dress. If you can't even do that, who is she going to introduce you to? What happens when she says, you know what, Mom, I met this guy, I really like him? If you're not even trying to get through.
So I guess your advice is don't have shallow intentions.
Don't.
So only 5 minutes left. One of the things I like to share, and you guys feel free to drop the questions in the question box. What was the easiest and what was the hardest part about living overseas so far?
The easiest part was saving.
Mm-hmm.
Say that again?
Oh, no, I like to cover both sides of the, the coin, the easiest part and the hardest part.
Okay, the easiest part was saving the money, getting the passport, getting all the visa work necessary, saving up, getting an airplane ticket, and getting a job overseas were all easy. And they took months to do. You know what the hard part is? And this is something that Black people in particular deal with. When you choose to have a better life someplace else, a lot of the people that you love will not be able to help you. They will not be able to help you emotionally because they will deal with struggle. They will struggle with saying, how dare you have something I don't? How dare you, talking about me, not special, not necessarily smarter than anybody else. How is it that you get to travel the world? How is it that beautiful young women want to be around? How is it you talk two different languages? I don't think it's fair that I didn't get those things and I think I'm better than you. And when they talk to you, you don't have those same worry lines in your face. When you don't have to say, listen, I'm going to walk downtown today, buy some chicken and rice for dinner, and I don't have to worry about a policeman busting my fucking skull open. I don't have to worry about a random white man walking into the mall where I'm going down to, I don't know, have dinner with my buddies, just spraying the place up. That's a big deal because a lot of Americans don't know how stressful that is until they're out of it. And then they go,
yeah, you don't
so you mean I
realize
can
the
just
weight of
focus
it.
on school?
Yeah.
Like I can just focus on education. I can just focus on my business. I can,
Yeah, it's a very heavy weight and you don't realize it because you're desensitized to it and it becomes your normal, and so you accept it. And once you take yourself out of that environment and start to see there's another way of life without that cloak of racism and cloak of violence and fear, it truly, you can never go back. Like they have this quote that says, a mind that is opened by new experiences can never go back to its original dimensions. Like, and I love that quote because that's how I feel about my expat experience. It's like I saw the light. I was like, oh, I'll never like live in America again, like permanently, after seeing that life could be so different living overseas. Let me just get to some of the questions really quick. Okay. This is a really great one from Stacy at Duffelbag Spouse Travels. If you guys have a chance, go check her blog out. It's awesome. What have you learned overseas that you couldn't learn in the U.S.?
Bilingual. Você fala português?
Huh? No, Stacy's American, but has lived overseas as well and travels a lot.
Duffelbag Spouse. Check this out. Duffelbag Spouse. Subscribe to me. Subscribe to you. We'll chat. What's up next?
That was the one I had. The other ones I got beforehand. So the last one I wanted to, someone said, I'm curious to live overseas. I don't know where to start. What is a good resource or place to start for anyone who's trying to move to Brazil specifically and just they don't already have a job lined up?
You know that's what I do professionally, right? Like who said that? I mean, who said that?
I can connect you to this person after the call. I don't see them on, so this was a question I got ahead of time.
Yeah. Like you have to contact someone who's giving you honest information. I'm gonna tell you who an honest broker of information is. They're gonna be someone who shows you videos and talks about a country, and it's not Friday night party in this city. Woo! This is what work is like downtown. This is where I go to shop. You want to find somebody who speaks the language, and you want to find somebody who has legitimate information. There are a lot of channels on YouTube far more popular than I will ever be because all they do is go to a party and put up a video of it. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But you can't get information on how to move to a place from the people who are there for a holiday.
Yeah, and you want practical information about day to day. What is it like to work? What is it like socially on a normal, day-to-day basis? What is it like when you're trying to just go grocery shopping and do everyday things? So I agree with visiting a place and then living there is totally different. Yeah. So that was my experience with London. When I visited London, I did not like it. I didn't know anybody. I had no sense of community. I was trying to find my way on my own. And then when I moved here, I loved it.
London was, didn't you say London had like a bunch of ugly women in it and the food was terrible?
No, I didn't say ugly. I said that here they don't know how to do hair and other things. And I'm surprised because there's so many cultures here. You think that like they would know how to do black hair. They would know how to do makeup correctly.
Wait.
Things.
You don't have hair either, right?
I have half an inch of hair. Thank you very much. That
Let me see it. Let's see it.
I'm
Show me your head.
If you go to, I just did a whole.
Why?
Listen, I just did a whole talk 2 days ago on Juneteenth, and my natural hair is all out there. So go check it out. Two days ago. Just go back.
No, I want to see it live.
No, you're fine.
Oh, come on. You get me on 24 hours notice, and I can't even see your head.
I told you it's on the
other
live.
That's smart.
It's on the other one. So I'm
talking to you now.
No. So we will in the chat. If anyone has any questions, thank you all for joining. Thank you for coming on and being so open and honest. You shared a lot of insight. When I save the replay, it's gonna have your YouTube channel because I think that's the best resource to go to keep seeing all of. I mean, you have the cost of living in Brazil post up there. You have the post up there about why you moved in the first place with some really good insight. And it's just a wealth of knowledge up there. What's the best way for people to connect with you if they have questions?
You can connect with me on YouTube. You can leave your message there. You can also catch me on YusefWateef at gmail.com.
Okay.
You can also private message me here.
Okay, awesome. And I did tag Yusef's IG in the pinned comment, and then he'll be tagged in the replay as well. So you guys have no excuse if you have any questions. Like I said, a wealth of knowledge and insight. So don't hesitate to reach out, especially for those of you interested in moving to Brazil. All right. Anything else you want to plug or mention or chat about before we drop?
I want to say thank you for having me. I want you to commit to coming on my YouTube channel. Yeah, I want to hear you say you're going to come on again. Yeah. All right. Absolutely. Y'all heard it.
I already saw your other vlogs. I would love to join. Yep. All right.
All right.
Thank you all.
So what do I press?
Oh, thank you.
Are you just going to kick me out?
We will have our next expat chats next week. We'll be covering Ghana with two beautiful young ladies who've been there for about, I think one been there, moved this year, and another one's been living there for quite some time. So I hope you guys can tune in. I'll start pubbing that in the middle of next week. Thank you all. Bye.